Collins Pine is a family-owned forest products company dating back to 1855. Headquartered in Chester, California, about 180 miles northeast of San Francisco, it is home to the first industrial forest land in the U.S. to be certified for sustainable forestry under the Forest Stewardship Council standards. The Forest Stewardship Council is endorsed by major environmental organizations, including the World Wildlife Fund, Greenpeace, Rainforest Alliance, National Wildlife Federation, and the Wilderness Society. The 295,000 acres of Collins timberlands are biodiverse, multi-layered, canopied forest, not single-species tree farms. They are self-sustaining, containing more wood today than they did over 100 years ago. Collins has adopted a management philosophy that forests must be protected and appreciated for their own sake, as well as for those who use them. Jay Francis, forest manager for Collins Almanor Forest, talks about the Collins approach to timber harvesting.
The goal that we have every time we enter a stand to do an operation is to improve the health of the forest and the opportunity for the forest to produce lumber, because that's our primary goal here. But to do it without compromising any of the other values, including wildlife and watershed and aesthetics and recreation, soil productivity. All of those things get taken into consideration. This is a commercial venture. This is a business for profit. The Collins family has a long history of stewardship, and that whole land ethic, I think, came from the fact that the family has always had a very strong religious heritage and very strong belief system that what they had in this life was temporary. They needed to take care of it and pass it on to the next generations, but to be good stewards of what they were entrusted with. Every single one of these trees that you see that are of any size, in fact, probably only the trees that are less than about 20 inches here are less than 150 years. That tree right there is probably 400 years old, but it's still growing. We have records to show that thing is still growing. This is a business, and we need to be generating income, and that is certainly one of our primary goals, is to maximize that amount of income. But the decision was made a long time ago that it will not be done at the expense of the other forest values. We all feel like we are pretty strong environmentalists ourselves, both in the family and in the company. We believe in taking care of this gift that we have all been blessed to work on and some of them own. And we want to make sure that none of the values that we have today are compromised for future generations. So sometimes that means taking a little more of a conservative approach to the management that has been done here. I'm guessing, a minimum of a half to 3/4 of those types of trees that do die naturally. We just don't get the opportunity to cut and bring to the mill. So the result is a snag like that dies. And that's okay, because although if you looked at that tree on an individual basis and saw it right after it died, you would say that is not a healthy tree. But individuals like that are part of a healthy forest. And you need to have that diversity in the forest, just as our communities tend to be more healthy when we have a range of diversity and of knowledge of people, of different backgrounds and ages and things like that. I think the forest is a lot like that. And the more that we can do to kind of stretch that diversity, the more healthy our forests are. I like this particular area in here, and it is representative of our forests because it does show a lot of natural diversity. You have snags like that one. You've got some down woody material. That's great prey base habitat for some of the species of special concern. We've got more than our share of goshawks and spotted owls and bald eagles and ospreys and all the fur bearers that you would probably find in this area. You know, when I first got into to forestry, I can remember marking timber and thinking, you know, this is pretty easy. It's not rocket science. And I have since come to realize that it's not rocket science. It's a whole lot more complicated than that. And for every decision that you make, there are many different factors that influence that, and there are many different outcomes because of some of those decisions. And a lot of them, probably most of them, we don't even fully understand. And that, you know, we can't even fully understand what goes on above the ground in the things that we see. And that's not even talking about the things below the surface of the ground, where really a lot of this real activity takes place. It doesn't mean that, you know, we shouldn't do anything because we don't know that. We need to try things and see how they work, and, you know, but I guess our philosophy has been that if we kind of go at it a little bit slower and try and modify things on a pace that is not so noticeable, that whatever impacts and potential negative impacts might occur would be at a scale small enough to where we could probably recover from that and change direction.